Good morning. I hereby call to order this 14th meeting of the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission for the year 2022, and I ask that you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I want to welcome everyone who is here and also welcome those that are watching with us live stream. As you know, today's meeting is open to the public and the commission will act on various matters. There's no opportunity for the public to address the commission at this public meeting. The public meeting motion, statements, and video will be available on the commission's website later today. Before we go on to our first matter, we do want to give the opportunity for our newest commissioners to take a moment to introduce some of their new staff. Vice Chairman DeFrank.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I just wanted to let the public know I do have two new staffers on my staff. Joel Cheskis is former deputy ALJ here at the commission. He's joined my staff this past Monday. And Stephanie Weimer, who is previously in I&E Bureau here at the commission, has joined my staff as well. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Zerfus.
Thank you very much. So in addition to Lillian Harris being on my staff, who came from the Office of Special Assistance, I now have Tom Capper, who also came from the Office of Special Assistance. They're probably a little mad at me because I took two of their folks. And then I have Elena Koltash, who just joined about a week ago, who came from Governor Tom Wolf's Office of General Counsel. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me take this opportunity to mention some changes in my staff. As David Alexander has transitioned from my staff to Law Bureau, we have been able to acquire temporarily James Mullins from Law Bureau to assist me. And then, of course, we did bring back Terry Mathias as an annuitant to assist me as well. So let's move on to our first matter for this morning's agenda, which is the approval of the minutes for the meeting October 27, 22. And I will turn to Commissioner Yunora.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I review the minutes of the October 27, 2022 public meeting and move that they be approved as submitted.
You have heard the motion to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chairman DeFrank. Any further edits or discussion to the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor of approval of the minutes, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The minutes are approved, 5-0. And now we will turn it over to our Secretary, Rosemary Chiavetta, to lead us through this morning's agenda.
Good morning, Madam Chairman and Commissioners. Your various bureaus and offices have prepared the following agenda items for your consideration. Therefore, let us begin on page 1 with matters presented by Director Sophie and the Office of Special Assistance. It is recommended that the Commission adopt the proposed opinion and order regarding the application of the Norfolk Southern Railway Company.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Yunora, second by Commissioner Zerfus. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0.
Turning to page 2, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the proposed opinion and order in the informal investigation of the Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement versus Columbia Gas of Pennsylvania.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Coleman, second by Vice Chairman DeFrank. I do have a motion to offer under discussion, so I will turn it over to the Vice Chairman to preside.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Is there any discussion on the matter before us?
I have a motion.
Please read your motion.
Thank you very much. I ask that my motion be spread upon the record in its entirety, as if I read it in its entirety. This matter concerns a natural gas explosion that occurred on July 31st, 2019 at a residence in Washington County. The explosion injured 4 people, demolished a residential structure, and caused severe damage to 3 vehicles. 1 other residence was condemned, and numerous other homes were damaged. The explosion occurred while Columbia Gas of PA, Inc. was working on an incremental mainline upgrading project as part of the company's Dewey Avenue replacement project. The Commission's Independent Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement initiated an informal investigation. A joint evaluation conducted by the state fire marshal and I&E's pipeline safety personnel on August 23, 2019, determined that the primary cause of the explosion was the overpressurization of the house piping and appliances, since the service line to the residence was not equipped with a service regulator at the time of the incremental pressure uprating. On March 4, 2022, I&E and Columbia Gas of PA submitted a joint petition for approval of settlement. The Commission issued the tentative order requesting comments regarding the proposed settlement on June 16, 2022. The proposed settlement provides that Columbia agrees to pay a total civil penalty of $990,000, not recoverable in rates. Additionally, Columbia agrees to an extensive list of modifications of operational practices with regard to how the utility operates system pressure and maps its service territory. Comments were filed by North Franklin Township, by Robert C. Culberson, and the Office of Consumer Advocate. Upon review of the settlement and statements in support of the same, the limited record, and the comments filed in response to the tentative order, I believe that further development of the record is necessary before the Commission renders a decision on appropriate remedies in relation to this event. As noted by the OCA, the settlement contains no timeline for corrective action by Columbia. I agree that a timeline for action should be established. The OCA also requests an accounting of the damage caused by the explosion. I believe that this factual information is pertinent and necessary to determine the scope of the harm caused by this event. Severity of harm is a factor in determining whether to assess a civil penalty under Section 69.1201C2 of our regulations. Mr. Culberson's comments urge the Commission to take into consideration the September 13, 2018 explosions resulting from overpressurization caused by Columbia Gas of Massachusetts, which resulted in a death, injury, and extensive property damage. Columbia Gas of Massachusetts is not within this Commission's jurisdiction. However, to the extent that operational policies set by these previously affiliated companies' parent company are relevant to the operational process utilized by Columbia Gas of PA, the 2018 Massachusetts event, and the remedial actions established and adopted by Columbia Gas of PA as a result of that 2018 Massachusetts event may be relevant to this case. I am unable to make an informed determination on this matter without information regarding the following. 1, whether any remedial measures stemming from the 2018 Massachusetts event were recommended for Columbia Gas of PA, and if so, whether they were effectuated. 2, an estimated timeline for completion of each of the corrective actions proposed in this settlement. 3, an accounting of the monetary damage caused by the explosion, and if Columbia Gas ratepayers are responsible for the financial liability. I will be voting no to deny the settlement in its current form. I note that after the explosion at 100 Park Lane, Columbia Gas made several changes to its policies and procedures. These modifications to the company's procedures, which also includes additional trainings, are intended to prevent a similar incident and benefit public safety. While I understand that moving to deny the settlement would delay closing this docket, I do so with the understanding that remedial measures pertaining to safety are already underway. if the settling parties choose to provide the requested information and proceed with the settlement of this informal investigation, I ask that they do so expeditiously. Therefore, I move that, 1, the joint motion for approval of settlement filed on March 4th, 2022 between the Commission's Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement and Columbia Gas of PA is denied. 2, that this matter is referred to the Commission's Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement for such further proceedings as deemed necessary and appropriate. 3, that any resubmission of a settlement of this matter should be done within 60 days of the entry of an opinion and order at this docket. 4, the Office of Special Assistance shall prepare an opinion and order consistent with this motion. And 5, a copy of the opinion and order shall be served on the Office of Consumer Advocate, the Office of Small Business Advocate, and Mr. Richard C. Culberson.
Thank you for the motion, Madam Chairman. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Zerfas seconds. Is there any comments or statements on the motion?
Vice Chairman, I do have a joint statement with Commissioner Yenora.
Please read your statement.
Thank you. We'd ask that our joint statement be entered in the record as though we had read it in its entirety. Before the Commission, as you've heard, is the proposed joint settlement for approval of settlement of an informal investigation into the natural gas explosion at the home of a Columbia Gas customer in 2019. The explosion caused 4 injuries and significant property damage. The Commission's Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement opened an informal investigation into the incident and subsequently negotiated a full settlement of the matter with Columbia Gas. The settlement, if approved, would require Columbia Gas to implement significant changes to the company's policies, procedures, and employee training to ensure that such an incident never happens again. Given the gravity of this event, it is appropriate that Columbia Gas pay a civil penalty in the amount of $990,000, the largest ever assessed by this Commission against this company. We conclude that the settlement is in the public interest and should be approved as filed. If some additional information is needed, it would have been appropriate to make the provision of that information a condition of the settlement rather than denying the settlement outright. The settlement is not legally enforceable until the Commission approves it. While the motion calls for any revised settlement to be filed within 60 days, a rejection of the settlement does introduce some unnecessary uncertainty about how the matter will conclude. We believe that the public interest would be best served by the approval of the settlement with or without some additional reasonable conditions at today's public meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other comments? Seeing none, those in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay?
No.
The motion passes by a vote of 3-2 with Commissioners Coleman and Yenora in the negative. With that, I give the chair back to you. Oh, I'm sorry. On the matter as amended by the motion, is it okay to take the same roll call? On the matter passes by a vote of 3-2 with Commissioners Yenora and Coleman voting in the negative. Thank you. I give the chair back to you.
Thank you. Madam Secretary.
Continuing at the bottom of page 2, it is recommended that the Commission adopt in an omnibus motion the PUC investigation into the rail crossing in Butler and Armstrong counties, and continuing the omnibus to include both items on page 3 and both items on page 4, and ending the omnibus at the top of page 5 with the informal investigation of the Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement versus the United Telephone Company of Pennsylvania doing business as CenturyLink.
Is there a motion to adopt staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Coleman, second by Vice Chairman DeFrank. Any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Zerfas.
Madam Chair, I would like to be recorded in the negative on 2 matters within this omnibus motion. I would like the record to reflect a no vote for me on the matter of Tenant Union Representative Network versus Pico Energy Company on the bottom of page 3. I would like to be a no. As well as the next item, Denise Eubanks versus Pico Energy Company which is located on the very top of page 4. Again, I would like to be recorded in the negative. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Zerfus. So we're going to take the motion in this way, including the last item on page 2, PUC investigation at rail crossing at State Route 268, including the first item on page 3, PUC Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement versus PECO Energy Company, skipping the second item on page 3, going to page 4, skipping the first item and going to the last item on page 4, which is the Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement versus Jaden Trucking, and the omnibus will end at the top of page 5 with the Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement versus United Telephone Company of Pennsylvania, doing business as CenturyLink. So that will be the omnibus for the vote, so the commissioners understand. So with that, is there any discussion on that omnibus? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That omnibus passes 5-0. Now going back to page 3 and picking up Tenant Union Representative Network versus PECO Energy Company, and the top of page 4, Denise Eubanks versus PECO Energy Company in that omnibus, because the motion was already taken. Is there any discussion on those two cases? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No. Yes? No. What would I say?
No.
No. Thank you. Yes, I'm opposed, but I'm a no.
The motion passes 4-1, noting the dissent of Commissioner Zerfus.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Continuing at the bottom of page 5, it is recommended that consistent with 4 PA Code Section 1.43C, the notational vote taken by the Commission on the formal complaint of the Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement versus the Westover Property Management Company be recorded and entered in the minutes of this public meeting.
Is there a motion to adopt staff recommendation?
So moved. I'll be second.
Motion by Commissioner, that was close. My left ear was open, my right wasn't. No, I'm just kidding. Motion by Commissioner Yunor, second by Vice Chairman DeFrank. Any discussion on this matter?
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
I have a statement on that. Before joining my staff as legal counsel, Stephanie Weimer was employed by the Commission's Bureau of Investigations and Enforcement and worked on this case. Please note that she has not advised me in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this case? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0.
Turning to page 6, it is recommended that the Commission adopt in an omnibus motion both items on page 6, beginning with the tariff supplement filed by Columbia Gas of Pennsylvania and ending with the formal complaint of J. Larry Moyer versus PPL Electric Utilities.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Motion by Commissioner Zerfus, second by Commissioner Coleman. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0.
Turning to page 7, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the proposed opinion and order in the application and petition for reconsideration filed by Applied Synergy Logistics, LLC.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Vice Chairman DeFrank, second by Commissioner Yunora. Any discussion?
Madam Chairman, I have a motion.
Vice Chairman DeFrank.
Thank you. Please submit these remarks to the record as though I have read them in their entirety. Before the Commission is a timely filed petition for reconsideration from staff action by Applied Synergy Logistics, LLC, from a secretarial letter issued on July 13, 2022, which dismissed its motor carrier of property application based on a failure to file evidence of insurance. In its petition for reconsideration, the applicant claims that it changed insurance carriers during the time frame of its application and believed that its previous insurer provided all necessary insurance forms. Applicant learned that its former insurer neglected to provide those forms when its application was denied. Applicant then arranged for its new insurer to file the necessary proof of insurance. However, due to the applicant's status of being an uncertified motor carrier pursuant to the action of the secretarial letter, the insurance filing was rejected. Applicant maintains that there were no gaps in insurance coverage. One of the standards used in determining motor carrier applications considers whether an applicant has or is able to secure sufficient and continuous insurance coverage for all vehicles that will be used to serve the public. The averments raised by the applicant in its petition for reconsideration indicate that applicant attempted to cure the error created by its former insurance company and have the appropriate insurance forms filed, such that it is possible that this standard would not have been met. Therefore, an outright denial of the application is not warranted. Rather, it is in the public interest to extend the deadline for applicant to file the necessary insurance forms, as it affords the applicant the opportunity to proceed with the application and constitutes a more efficient use of both the Commission's and the applicant's resources at this stage. Extending the deadline for the applicant to have insurance forms filed is consistent with the outcome of another item on today's public meeting agenda, the application of Brothers Fast Transportation Services, LLC. That case involves a similar set of circumstances in which the applicant believed its insurance company filed the required insurance forms, but later learned that they did not. To maintain consistency for these and other cases with similar circumstances, I move that the petition for reconsideration filed by Applied Synergy Logistics, LLC is granted. That within 30 days of the entry date of this opinion and order, or such additional time as may be granted, Applied Synergy Logistics, LLC shall have its insurance company file the necessary insurance forms. That upon the compliance and completion of the above ordering paragraphs, the secretarial letter issued on July 13th, 2022 will be rescinded. That the matter be referred to the Bureau of Technical Utility Services for such further action as may be warranted. And that the Office of Special Assistants prepare an opinion and order consistent with this motion. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. You have heard the motion of Vice Chairman DeFrank. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Commissioner Coleman. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0. Is there, on the matter as amended, is there any objection to taking the previous roll call? Seeing no objection, the matter as amended passes 5-0.
Continuing at the bottom of page 7, it is recommended that the Commission adopt in an omnibus motion the informal investigation of the Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement versus the Duquesne Light Company, and continuing the omnibus to include both items on page 8, and including and ending the omnibus motion with the single item on page 9, the petition filed by the PECO Energy Company's Electric Division.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Zerfis, second by Vice Chairman DeFrank. Any discussion on any of the items in this motion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0.
Turning to page 10, and matters presented by Director Diskin and the Bureau of Technical Utility Services, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the proposed order in the petition filed by Pike County Light and Power's Gas Division.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Coleman, second by Commissioner Zerfis. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0.
Continuing on page 10, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the proposed order in the application filed by Access Point Incorporated.
Is there a motion to adopt staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Yonora, second by Commissioner Zerfis. Any discussion? I do have comments to place on the record, and I will do so in their entirety. Before us for disposition is Access Point's petition to abandon service. This filing is the culmination in a series of filings that transferred the applicant's customers and services to another entity. In this case, unlike most cases, the applicant's petition to abandon comes in the wake of a late filed transfer of control application. The Commission's regulations governing transfers of control or customers by certificated telecommunications providers ensures that consumers and the public are notified of the need to secure another provider so that transfers of customers can occur in an orderly fashion. At this final stage of this abandonment proceeding, I also note that the Commission can and has imposed penalties for failures to comply with the Commission regulations, and that carriers should heed the regulatory filing process in the future. Any further comments or discussion on this matter?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Zerfus.
just for the purposes of the record, I would just like to associate myself with your statement, please.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0.
Turning to page 11, it is recommended that the Commission adopt in an omnibus motion both items on page 11, beginning with the petition of Pike County Light and Power Company's Electric Division, and continuing the omnibus to include both items on page 12, both items on page 13, both items on page 14, both items on page 15, and ending the omnibus with the tariff supplement filed by the PECO Energy Company's Gas Division.
You have heard the motion you have heard the omnibus presented. I do have a request from that omnibus presented to us. On page 12, there is the Pittsburgh Water and Sewer Authority, their wastewater case. I ask if there's any objection to postponing this matter. I just need a couple more days to look at it in more detail. So I'm going to make the motion to postpone it until the December 22nd meeting, which means I need a second and a vote.
Second.
I'm not used to doing my own
Any
motion,
objection?
even though I know I can.
Is there any objection?
I'm making the motion, second by Commissioner DeFrank. Any discussion on the postponement to December 22nd? Hearing no objection, all those in favor of postponing it, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion to postpone the Pittsburgh Water and Sewer case on page 12 is approved 5-0. Now we'll go back to the omnibus. Starting at the top of page 11, all of those on page 12, skipping PWSA, and page 13,
and
14,
And 15.
15. Okay, with that, is there a motion to adopt those staff
So moved.
recommendations? Motion by Vice Chairman DeFrank. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Yunora. Any discussion on any of those matters? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0.
Turning to page 16, and matters presented by Chief Counsel Hicks and the Law Bureau. It is recommended that the Commission adopt the proposed order regarding the Pennsylvania Universal Service Fund annual rate adjustment.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Vice Chairman DeFrank, second by Commissioner Zerfus. Any discussion?
Chairman, I do have a brief statement on this matter.
Commissioner Coleman.
Thank you. I'd ask that my statement be entered in the record as I read in its entirety before the Commission for consideration and disposition as an order proposing for calendar year 2023 to establish the size of the Pennsylvania Universal Service Fund, approve a fund budget, and establish the assessment rates for contributing telecommunication providers, among other things. The fund administrator opines that the overall PAUSF mechanism may need re-examination due to the continuous decline of the contribution base that supports the fund, coupled with the decline in annual reported revenues. According to the fund administrator, these two factors have resulted in annual increases in the fund's contribution assessment factor for the remaining contribution carriers. The order notes that the commission will monitor this issue to determine whether the PAUSF mechanism may have to be modified to expand its contribution base. In my view, any review of the fund should not be done on a piecemeal basis, but should not be limited to the contribution base issue alone. Rather, the scope of any such review should be comprehensive in nature and addressing whether and what types of PAUSF reforms are needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Coleman. Any further discussion on this matter?
Madam Chair, I would like to associate myself with Commissioner Coleman's statement.
Thank you, Commissioner Yonora. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0.
Continuing on page 16, it is recommended that the commission adopt the proposed implementation order regarding the Gas and Hazardous Liquids Pipeline Act under Act 127 of 2011.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Coleman, second by Commissioner Yonora. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0.
Turning to page 17, it is recommended that the commission adopt the proposed order regarding the petition for refund filed by Sunoco Pipeline LP.
Is there a motion to adopt staff recommendation?
So moved.
I heard both.
Second.
Motion by, yeah, I did hear both. Motion by Vice Chairman DeFrank, second by Commissioner Coleman. Any discussion?
Madam Chair.
Vice Chairman DeFrank.
Before joining my staff as legal counsel, Joel Cheskis was employed in the Commission's Office of Administrative Law Judge and worked on this case. Please note that he has not advised me in this matter.
Thank you very much. Under further discussion, I do ask that my comments be placed into the record as if I read them in their entirety. I'm going to get that straight before I leave here, right? But I will abbreviate that for you. On December 2nd, 2022, Glen Riddle Station, LP, filed a formal complaint alleging that Sunoco Pipeline LP's construction of Mariner East 2 and Mariner East 2X pipelines across and adjacent to its buildings, which house 124 residential apartments, caused severe disruption to its residents, sufficient to constitute unreasonable service by the utility. Glen Riddle claimed that Sunoco's actions adversely affected property parking and traffic safety, created an unsafe construction work site, shirked government-mandated pandemic safety protocols, caused a water line break depriving residents of water service, raised structural and storm damage concerns, drainage concerns, and that the utility failed to communicate regarding a potentially hazardous leak. At the June 16, 2022 public meeting, the Commission denied Sunoco's exceptions to the initial decision and sustained the ALJ's determination that Sunoco provided an unreasonable service as well as the recommended $51,000 civil penalty. At the August 25, 2022 public meeting, the Commission granted Sunoco's petition to reconsider and rescinded $48,000 of the civil penalty. I dissented on that vote because Sunoco failed to raise any new or novel arguments on reconsideration. As a public service message, I reiterated that had proper public notice of construction activity been given to Glen Riddle as required by our regulations, an accord could have been reached between the parties regarding construction times and possible ways to minimize disruption to the community. The petition before us for consideration today is Sunoco's request for a refund of $48,000 of the $51,000 civil penalty paid. Although I dissented on the decision to lower the civil penalty, I agree that consistent with the majority's decision to lower the penalty, the instant petition requesting the refund should be granted. Any further comments or discussion?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Zerfus.
Madam Chair, for the purposes of the record, I would like to associate myself with your statement.
Thank you. Any further comments or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0.
Continuing at the bottom of page 17, it is recommended that the Commission adopt in an omnibus motion the remaining item on page 17, the petition filed by Connect Everyone, LLC, and including the single item on page 18, ending the omnibus with the Commission's complaint against the Delaware Valley Regional Economic Development Fund.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendations?
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Commissioner Zerfus, second by Commissioner Coleman. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0.
Turning to page 19, and matters presented by Chief Administrative Law Judge Rainey and the Office of Administrative Law Judge. It is recommended that the Commission adopt the recommended decision of ALJ Gould and ALJ Collins in the petition filed by the Pennsylvania American Water Company.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Zerfus, second by Commissioner Yunora. Any discussion?
Chairman, I do have a motion on this matter.
Commissioner Coleman.
Thank you. I'd ask that my motion be entered into the record as I read it in its entirety. Before the Commission for consideration and disposition is the recommended decision in Pennsylvania American Water Company's petition for approval of an arrearage management plan, which I will refer to as AMP. The recommended decision recommends approval of the settlement submitted by PA American, the Office of Consumer Advocate, and Cause PA. In summary, the AMP, as modified by the settlement, allows PAWC's low-income water and wastewater customers to receive $25 per month in arrearage forgiveness for each in-full payment of their current monthly charges plus a $5 copayment. Costs associated with the AMP are assigned to Pennsylvania American's residential customers. Commission policy promotes settlements. The benchmark for reviewing the settlement is whether the proposed terms and conditions are in the public interest. As I stated, the recommended decision finds that the settlement is in the public interest and should be approved without modification. I disagree. The settlement is not in the public interest because it allows customers to participate in the AMP without verifying their income. Arrearage management, better understood as arrearage forgiveness, usually comes before the Commission as part of the customer assistance programs offered by the major electric and natural gas utilities. Customer assistance programs are a component of universal service. In reviewing universal service plans, the Commission endeavors to balance the interest of customers who benefit from the programs with those interests of customers who pay for these programs. It is not statutory directive for universal service in the water and wastewater industries. However, some of the large water and wastewater utilities have voluntarily operated low-income assistance programs. As their low-income assistance programs, like PAWC's AMP, seek to provide ratepayer-funded benefits, the Commission must ensure the same balance between the customers who benefit from the programs and the customers who pay for the programs. One way to balance these interests is to ensure that ratepayer-funded benefits are provided only to those who qualify for them. PAWC's AMP, as modified by the settlement, does not include income verification for enrollment or for recertification purposes. Rather, customers must only self-attest to meeting the low-income criteria of 150% of the federal poverty income guidelines. In absence of income verification, I cannot conclude that the settlement is in the public interest. Income verification is important in this matter because PAWC is not seeking to limit total dollars of forgiveness amounts and is not proposing that the AMP be in place only for a limited time. Customers must be enrolled in PAWC's bill discount program to be eligible for the AMP, but the number of participants is not otherwise limited. Further, the lack of income verification is inconsistent with Commission precedent. The Commission has previously rejected proposals to allow customers to enroll in ratepayer-funded low-income programs without verifying their eligibility. The commission must render consistent opinions and should either follow, distinguish, or overrule its own precedent. For these reasons, the settlement must be modified to require income verification for those seeking to enroll in PAWC's AMP. I cannot determine from the record before us the exact method for PAWC should use to verify income for enrollment and recertification. As such, I move that the matter be remanded to the Office of Administrative Law Judge for further proceeding. I look forward to reviewing a modified arrearage management plan. Therefore, I move that the recommended decision on the matter captioned Petition of PA American Water Company for approval of the arrearage management plan at docket P 2021-3028-195 is vacated. The matter is remanded to the Office of Administrative Law Judge for proceedings consistent with this motion, and that the Office of Special Assistants prepare an opinion in order consistent with this motion.
You have heard the motion of Commissioner Coleman. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Yunora. Any discussion on the motion?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Zerfus.
Madam Chair, I have a verbal statement as related to the motion and to the matter at hand, but I support the arrearage management plan that's before us today. The AMP was designed through a multi-party stakeholder process and is reflected in an uncontested settlement agreement. I disagree that the lack of income verification in this settlement is problematic. According to the proposed settlement, the new AMP would be simple and efficiently coordinated with the existing bill discount program through a streamlined application process. And I want to emphasize those words, simple, efficient, and streamlined. The existing bill discount program does not require income verification and was previously approved by the Commission as being in the public interest. Now we are creating or trying to create an inconsistent requirement in a program that helps low-income customers. By adding inconsistent requirements, we are interfering with the creation of a simple, efficient, and streamlined process, and ultimately interfering with PA American Water's ability to assist low-income customers with arrearages. So not only are we now creating an additional bureaucracy by eliminating the simple, efficient, and streamlined process, we are responsible for delaying assistance to low-income customers. But for further context, there are numerous examples in the arena of governance where we as a Commonwealth, by law or regulation, allow for the self-attestation of information. We allow self-attestation in certain circumstances for corporations, for farmers, for the oil and gas industry as examples, and all in the context of receiving taxpayer dollars. For the record, I'm not against folks like corporations or farmers or the oil and gas industry benefiting from a simple, efficient, and streamlined process. In fact, it's quite the contrary. And for the record, I'm not even suggesting that we should never verify income for program beneficiaries. What I'm saying is that we are inconsistent in our approach. We should have a larger conversation about the issue and not be cherry-picking who can benefit from a simple, efficient, and streamlined process and when. Self-attestation is not a boogeyman. It's a process that is embraced within the Commonwealth. Even in the absence of income verification in the overarching discount program, there are no allegations of impropriety or out-of-control costs. We should allow the AMP to proceed as is in the interim of a larger policy conversation as helping those struggling to make ends meet, yet still trying to pay back their arrearages to bring balance to the overall system is what's in the public interest. So I'll be voting no on the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Zerfus. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Motion passes 4-1, noting the dissent of Commissioner Zerfus. On the matter as amended, any further discussion? Any objection to taking the previous roll call? No objection to taking the previous roll call. The matter as amended passes 4-1, noting the dissent of Commissioner Zerfus.
Continuing at the bottom of page 19, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the initial decision of ALJ Vero in the complaints filed by James Hill versus Verizon Pennsylvania, LLC.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved. Oh.
I heard a two so moved.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Coleman, second by Commissioner Zerfus. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0.
Turning to page 20, it is recommended that the commission adopt the recommended decision of ALJ Cheskis in the proposed rate increase filed by the Pennsylvania American Water and Wastewater Companies.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Vice Chairman DeFrank, second by Commissioner Unora. Any discussion?
Madam Chair?
Vice Chairman DeFrank.
Before joining my staff as legal counsel, Joel Cheskis was employed by the Commission's Office of Administrative Law Judge and worked on this case. Please note he has not advised me in this matter.
Any further discussion?
Chairman, I do have a statement on this matter as well.
Commissioner Coleman.
Thank you. I'd ask that my statement be entered the record as I read it in its entirety. Before the Commission for consideration and disposition as a recommended decision in Pennsylvania American Water Company's water and wastewater rate increase filing. The recommended decision recommends approval of the settlement submitted in this proceeding. The settlement includes terms related to PAWC's bill discount program. The bill discount program is not new to PAWC, but in my attention has been drawn to the eligibility requirement for the Low Income Assistance Program. To the extent costs for PAWC's bill discount program are recovered by ratepayers, proof of income should be required of all program participants. I believe that it is necessary to balance the interest of customers who pay for the programs with those who are paying for the program. I also believe that it's consistent with the Commission's precedent in the area of ratepayer-funded low-income programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Coleman. Any further comments or discussion?
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Zerfus.
Madam Chair, I have a verbal statement. Consistent with my prior statement on PA American Water's arrearage management plan, I support the settlement agreement, which is supported by all active parties. I'm not aware of any allegation that the bill discount program is being used inappropriately, and there's no indication that the current program is not working or is out of control in costs. Thank you.
Any further discussion or statements? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0.
Continuing on page 20, it is recommended in an omnibus motion that the Commission adopt the recommended decision of ALJ Vero and ALJ Collins in the tariff supplement filed by Valley Energy, and continuing the omnibus on page 21, ending the omnibus with the recommended decision of ALJ Vero and ALJ Collins in the tariff supplement filed by the Citizens Electric Company of Lewisburg.
Is there a motion to adopt the staff recommendations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Unora, second by Commissioner Zerfus. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0.
Madam Chairman and Commissioners, that concludes all agenda items for consideration today.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. And by way of announcement, the commissioners have voted to modify our 2023 public meeting calendar. So I encourage everyone to go to our website at www.puc.pa.gov to check for any changes for our 2023 public meeting calendar. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
What's your name again? Motion by Vice Chairman DeFrank, second by Commissioner Unora. I'm assuming there's no discussion to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.